Welcome back. Welcome back. This is Two Brothers at a Water Cooler's weekly spoiler-filled review show of WandaVision.
That is correct. There are going to be lots of spoilers. So if you have not seen episode 5 of WandaVision, please do not listen to this episode here. You will be disappointed and
Yeah,
lots of things will be ruined for you.
exactly. We don't want any shade. We don't want any shade. So if you have not watched the episode, keep it moving.
There you
So
go.
Tom, let's jump right in.
Oh, deep dive. Now, I've seen WandaVision 3 times, episode 5 3 times up until this point. So let's see if I can tell it right.
I haven't watched it that many times. I had to go get my yearly physical and I was seduced by my doctor today for my yearly prostate check,
Okay, well, that seems to be a very personal story. I mean, you can save it for the podcast or
Exactly.
There you go. So this particular episode starts out with Wanda and Vision trying to, first of all, it's a very, very 80s theme. You almost feel like
family ties, right?
Yes, family ties and a little Full House. It was a little mixture of those. But yeah, we basically we basically
I just got that with the twins.
Yep. And so what ended up happening was it starts with them trying to put the twins to sleep, but they can't. And their neighbor, played by Catherine Hahn, comes in and asks, she heard the babies crying and she has the expertise to put them to sleep. So okay, let her do this. And Vision tells her, no, I don't want you to do that. It's okay. I want to, I think we should take them. And then Catherine Hahn's character is kind of like, do you want me to take that line over? Do you want us to go over that again? Mm-hmm. Breaking the fourth wall, which you never do in television. and she's talking to Wanda.
TV show.
I mean, listen, Marvel can do whatever they want, and it is literally gold. Mm-hmm. So Catherine Hahn breaks the fourth wall and says, like, do you want me to do that? Take over? What do you want me to do? And she's looking at Wanda, and Wanda at first seems like she doesn't understand because she's got that doe-eyed smile on her face. But then she turns around. I mean, then Wanda says to her, like, Vision, just let her watch the babies. And then Catherine Hahn gets back into character. After that particular scene, we then cut to the intro of the show, which then, yes, it is Family Ties, where there's a painting that isn't colored in, and then they do the intro, and at the end, the painting's colored in like Family Ties.
You forgot, the part you forgot is how Vision is clearly seen with his conversation with Catherine Hahn and Wanda. He's clearly seeing the cracks. He knows something is up. He just can't put his fingers on everybody, but he knows something is not right.
Right. Right before the credits come in, Vision pulls Wanda aside and was like, what's going on with her? Like, did you see what happened? Did you see what she did? And Wanda keeps going, no, what are you talking about? No. Mm-hmm. So, after the credits roll, we come back to, I believe, we either come back to Wanda, which they're doing their kind of everyday life, and then we go into the sword unit that's right outside the Hex, which has been named by Darcy, and because the perimeter is a hexagonal, how she pronounced it, hexagonal shape, so she calls it the Hex. And
couldn't she have just said hexagon?
She could have, but she called it the Hex. I think it was like a little nod to Scarlet Witch, which they have not called her by that. Even though the director said, "Does she have any nicknames?"
He was like, "Tell me a real name. What do they really
call her?" And he was like, "Nothing." And it was like, "Oh, I thought we were gonna get Scarlet Witch, the actual name." But what then happens is we cut back to Monica Rambeau getting out of the bed, and they're talking about they can't find any any readings on her outfit, and they need to take more blood samples, but Monica Rambeau is like, forget that, I need to get back into the fray. She goes into the sword meeting where they're trying to assess what's going on. The director, which I do not remember his name, Mike knows it. I mean, it's not important at this point.
I did not know it. I looked it up on IMDb, which was
Yeah.
last week.
Yeah, tune into last week's episode if you want to know his name. And
Yeah.
he's basically saying that Wanda is a threat. Monica,
Yeah, and now he's truly showing his douchebag colors that you suspected in the beginning, but you were not completely sure. And this
Right.
episode, it shines bright for all to see.
Definitely. And so now he's trying to paint Wanda as a threat, a terrorist, whereas Monica Rambeau is saying that she's grieving, and she's
It's
doing
more
it.
it's more nuanced in
Right.
her eyes.
Right. She
he's
says
seeing
she
it
could do
clearly
much worse.
if she wanted to.
Right. And so now what's interesting about this is as they're going back, like he is just put the whole team on alert. Like she is a threat. Monica Rambeau then goes back to the lab with Agent Wu and Darcy. And he's saying, like, they're trying to figure out what's going on. And they realize she's way more powerful than before because she is recreating, redesigning, reshaping matter, which was not something that was registered in her power levels before. Before, she was just registered as a telepath and had telekinetic abilities, which is
Illusionist. She can make you see things.
right. So telepathy
Yeah.
is she can control your mind, and telekinesis is she can move things. But in terms of reshaping things, really, that's a whole different power. And now she can do it. And
it
so
seems like after she came back from the snap, her powers changed.
yes. And she points, and Monica points that out, saying that she literally was getting ready to take out Thanos. It wasn't until he rained fire that was the only thing that stopped her. But outside of that, she could have taken Thanos out on her own. And then they realized that anything that goes within the perimeter that is not from that time frame, she reshapes, or like basically like set design, reappropriates it for that correct time period. And so when her Kevlar vest was changed into the outfit that she wore. And so now Monica Rambeau realizes that what she needs to do at this point is send something in that is from the appropriate time period, which now, like we said earlier, the show is now in the 80s. So they send in a drone from the 80s, which is terrifying because I did not know we had drones in the 80s.
Yeah,
so,
we're always about 10 to 15 years behind in what the military has as far as
yes,
technology wise.
Clearly. So they send in the drone. And when the drone finds Wanda, she's outside playing with her two sons, Thomas and William, which is very weird for me because those are both my names. First and middle, Thomas,
and
William.
The sons are clearly now going to puberty.
Well, no, they're at this moment they are 10 because they aged up earlier in the episode. Because I mean, this is boring, but if you want to know, they wanted to get a pet dog. They were washing it in the sink. Wanda and Vision both said they were too young to have a dog. They had to be age 10, and then the boys just aged themselves up from 8 to 10 magically. And also, I'm jumping over the fact that in the beginning of the episodes they were newborn babies, and then like as soon as we jump back to the show, they aged themselves up to age 8. So they're moving at a rapid pace.
Exactly. So next episode, they're going to be 21 and coming home drunk from a party Friday night.
Probably. and that's another part of the argument that Monica Rambeau was saying that the boys were real because everything in that world, everything in that perimeter is real. She's just reshaped it. And so now the question is, who are the children? Like, are they really her children? Where is she shaping them from? Like,
what is the children's point of origin at this point?
How do they have abilities? And technically, if we want to like start throwing the word around in the world of Marvel, anyone born no,
okay,
incest is not a Marvel thing. If you want to be technical, in the world of Marvel, anyone born with abilities is a what?
Mutant.
A mutant. Anyone born with abilities is a mutant. So, we don't know what the boys are, but at this point in time, they fulfill Marvel's requirement of being a mutant. And that ties into the end. And so once again,
Okay,
Monica.
so let's jump back into the drone that is flown in by Monica Rambeau as she tries to communicate with Wanda, saying, she just basically tries to extend an olive branch, saying that she's here. She knows she might not be in full control. She's asking, is there anything that she could do? But lo and behold, Monica Rambeau's boss says, we have her in the line of fire. Take the shot. He's like,
and that is literally the quote. Take the shot.
which in my mind has me bugging. You would think at this point in time you couldn't just shoot Avenger.
My state of mind is she's an Avenger.
Yeah.
Like, listen, like if it was that easy to take out an Avenger, they wouldn't be Avengers.
Yes. And this is where I think the rubber meets the road with TV shows, which you don't have superheroes fully. I mean, you have Wanda and Vision, but this type of event would call for the Avengers to assemble and to,
this is like right after Spider-Man Far From Home. There are no Avengers. There are none.
But there's superheroes. There's Spider-Man. There's Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, you mean on the run from the law?
Well, there's
for murder?
There's Hawkeye. There's Falcon.
Wait, Hawkeye for what?
There's
For
War
Wanda?
Machine. There's War Machine.
For Wanda?
There's Captain Marvel. There's Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel's off planet. That was stated in Far From Home.
I'm pretty much sure there is a method to communicate with her. So
that beeper?
Hey,
and guess what?
There is a method to communicate with her.
And guess what? What's his name isn't even on planet. Nick Fury isn't even on planet. We saw that.
Well, nobody is on planet. There is a way to, trust me. Best believe after Thanos, you really think Thanos is the only alien that has universal domination?
Well, let me say this. We saw Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel didn't even come to Earth after the blip because her position was other planets need me. One small town in New Jersey does not call Captain Marvel back.
Well, if she was called, I would just think they would need to call someone. If you had a hero, if you had a person with powers that has this hex that's just expanding and there's literally nothing that anyone could do about it.
Well, it's not expanding. It's staying within whatever limit she said.
It's expanding because she's choosing not to have it expand.
Wait. Yes, that is correct. Yeah. So it's not expanding. It is what it is. It could, because that was the argument Monica made, that she could control a lot more people. She's just choosing this small radius. So, right. So then you said he told him take the shot. The drone goes offline. And then we get a scene of, once again, the villain of this series. Wanda steps out. And they have all, a team of, I guess, Marines or soldiers have all their rifles pointed at Wanda. And Wanda just stands there looking at them. And she said, this is the last time I'm warning you. Stay away from me. Don't mess with me. And I will not mess with you. And he's like, we can't do that, Wanda. You're hurting people. And she was like, you're the ones with the guns. And so now he's like, well, listen, you are suppressing these people. Then that's when she sees Monica Rambeau. Monica Rambeau is like, listen, Wanda, just, talk to me. And then Wanda starts to get the cosmic magic in her hand. And as she, which is weird because they said she was altered by the Mind Stone, but I thought she was altered by the cosmic cube. I thought that was what Hydra had and had exposed them to, but I could be wrong. And so, because the scepter, Loki had the scepter. Hydra had the cube.
At this point in time, nobody cares.
Okay. All right. So she waves her hand and says like, oh, so you're still here? And she's like, Wanda, you can trust me. I helped you birth your sons. And, why would you even have pulled me into the perimeter if you thought I was a threat? And she was like, I did not know about the missile. And, listen, just like, what do you want? And Wanda's like, I have what I want. And she was like, and stay away. And at that moment, she uses the power in her hand to make all the soldiers turn their rifles on the director. And he's like, whoa, stand down.
Yeah, he's not talking as bold as he was earlier.
Mm-hmm. And then she goes back into the perimeter.
But I think we glanced over a part. Vision's workday.
I'll let you tell that. That was a really good scene.
So Vision is at work explaining to his colleagues the internet and electronic mail, which we know is email. But
Right.
then also we have a scene from Get Out when
Oh
his
yeah.
when he turns to his coworker and they're having a regular casual conversation. Because it plays as a TV show where Vision is the funny guy at the office that everybody knows. And then for a second, well, not for a second, for a couple of minutes, one of the prisoners, because that's what they are.
Basically.
They are being held captive against their own will.
Basically.
He breaks character and he starts to say, "I haven't spoke to my sister. I haven't
No,
spoken to my."
wait. Well, basically, Vision realizes that he's having problems, and Vision removes.
Oh,
He
that's
puts his
right.
hand to his temple and removes the mental block that Wanda has on him.
Exactly. So he essentially comes back to who he was before Wanda grabbed him and put him in that town, and he's just telling Vision, I have a family, I have to speak to them. Can you help me? Can you help me? Then
And he also talks about how much pain he's in. It's painful to be under her persuasion.
the mental block that she has in his head is very painful to him. And Vision, it just becomes too much for Vision to bear. Vision puts the block back in.
Yep. And so now that happened before she left the dome. So what ends up happening is when she goes back in the dome, this is a short scene. It's not a big deal, but the dog apparently dies. Catherine Hahn's character finds it. And when Wanda and the boys see it, she talks to them about death and she tells the boys not to grow to try and escape this feeling, but to process it. And then they ask her, but can't you bring things back from the dead, Mom? Can't you? And then even Catherine Hahn was like, can you? Do you have that ability? So then we cut to Vision coming home and trying to talk to Wanda about his day, saying that, he knows that she's put certain people under her persuasion and it's wrong. They can't see their family. And she was like, no, nothing's wrong. No, what are you talking about?
Mhm.
And then he goes, you can't control my mind like that anymore. You can't control me. And then she says, can't I? And then the end credits for the show start to roll, which is why this is a very interesting scene, because as the credits roll, he's like, you're not going to just end this like this. We have to talk. And they storm into the other room, and Vision changes back into the regular Vision with the red skin and the green hood. And he says, you're going to stop lying to me. And he levitates. And then she is like, she levitates and is like, I'm trying to protect you. So now you're thinking, are they going to fight? Like, is this going to be an Avengers fight right now? And then he's like yelling at her saying like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know who I am. I don't remember what happened before. Because then she goes like, why are you yelling at me? You never yelled at me before. And that's when he says, I don't even remember before. Before what? And that's when he's like, I'm scared. I don't know who I am. I don't know what's going on. And she was like,
He knows that he loves her, but it seems as if he doesn't recall anything from after Civil War to not Endgame.
we
What
don't
was
even know. We honestly, we have
Well, no,
no
because
idea. We
he
just know he
clearly,
loves her. We
yeah, he
know he
loves her.
loves her.
So clearly he
Has some
remembers
memory.
that. He has some memory of that. So
Right.
I want to say he probably
But he
remembers
wouldn't know
everything.
Ultron. He wouldn't know Ultron. He wouldn't know certain things.
Well, why wouldn't he know
Because I
Ultron?
think because knowing Ultron would have him know of the Avengers. Knowing the Avengers would have him know about death and all that stuff. I don't think he knows all of that.
Yeah, she probably blocked pockets of his memory.
Mhm. And so now she finally gets him to calm down, saying like, we cannot leave the dome. You do not want to go beyond the perimeter. And so he sits down and he kind of calms down a little bit. And the doorbell rings. And so we're like, uh-oh, like, and he's like, who is this? And she's like, I have no idea.
Yeah, this is clearly not under her control.
Right.
And prior to this, last week, Tom and I were having a discussion. Who was going to show up. So
And I
I
said
just
Luke
assumed
Skywalker.
I said Captain Marvel.
Right. And so what ended up happening was he like, as they're both looking at the door, she's like, you don't believe me? I don't know who it is. And he's like, honestly, at this point, it would be statistically, illogical for me to believe you, basically. She opens the door and she's shocked.
First you see great, and then from the camera cuts to behind
Not yet. No, first when she opens the door, the camera, I just saw it like 10 minutes ago, cuts to the base. And the base, everybody's like in there like, and because the base starts hearing all, like the lights start flickering. And then cut back to what you're saying.
And the camera, and you cut to the camera angle and you just see gray hair. So immediately my first thought, oh, they brought Steve, old ass Rogers to come talk to Wanda, but then the camera pulls out further and you start to see, well, nah, that's not, like he has like a punk rock dude to his ear.
Right.
And lo and behold, the camera flips around, and who does it happen to be?
Quicksilver. Piotr Maximoff, but
it is Fox's mutant world Quicksilver.
Evan Peters, as opposed to Aaron Taylor Johnson, who was Quicksilver in Ultron, which I just found out because I'm looking at a bunch of YouTube videos that the reason Quicksilver was killed off in Ultron was because Fox still owned him. And Fox only gave Marvel the ability to use him at the end of, I'm not sure if it was Civil War or whichever. No, it was before Civil War. Fox.
It was Avengers: Age of Ultron.
No, Age of Ultron is when we saw him fully. There was an end credit scene when you saw both of them being like influenced and you saw their powers before they became an Age of Ultron. So Fox only gave them the ability to use them in an end credit scene and the entire movie of Age of Ultron. But Fox was like, that's it. Then we're taking him back. That's the only reason they killed him off. And they gave them, now here's the weird thing. Fox then gave Marvel limited usage of Wanda, but they could not use all of Wanda's powers because some of her powers are more prominent in X-Men's comics as opposed to just general Avengers comics. And so they were like, okay, you can have Wanda, but basically she can only have telepathy and telekinesis, but she can't like recreate reality. But Disney bought Disney bought Fox. So now we're getting ready to see every single thing Wanda can do, which once again, I just researched this and found out this is why all of this is coming together.
And then the episode cuts to black.
Yeah, well, he basically goes, hey, can I get a hug from my sister with his Jersey accent? So you're like, wow. And I mean, because the thing is this, I mean, in all fairness, if we had to choose which Quicksilver we got, would you have chosen Aaron Taylor Johnson or would you have chosen Evan Peters?
I think Evan Peters, because it's a bigger wow.
Well, one, it's a bigger wow because yes, it definitely does merge the Marvel Cinematic Universe with the Fox Studios universe. But two, it's a big wow because in all honesty, he was the more he was the likable, relatable, funny, silly,
he talks with American accent.
Right, Quicksilver, which is if you've read the comics, that's how Quicksilver is. Quicksilver is like, a jerk and a smart aleck and, he's all of those things, which Evan Peters actually kind of embodied, whereas no knock on Aaron Taylor Johnson's performance, he was a much more somber, a darker character. But
in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he was an Eastern European whose parents were killed when he was young. They were in and out of foster care, so it does something a little bit different to you in that sort of upbringing. Whereas in the Fox mutant world, he came from a upper middle class family.
Right, and so that being the case, it's kind of like. With that being the case, it's kind of like you're sitting there saying to yourself, I'm so excited that we got Evan Peters into the universe because he's the best possible version that I've seen.
His version of Quicksilver is a lot more charismatic.
Yeah. So, that being said, I am really excited. What are your predictions for the series at this point? Are we
I,
getting more? Are we getting more?
I still firmly believe that we're going to see Captain Marvel.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't think that's happening. I think we are going to see
You don't cast Monica in this role and not have Captain Marvel show up.
Well, I think that we are going to see Doctor Strange. I think we're going to get a cameo from Doctor Strange at the end.
Because nobody cared about that.
Okay. All right. Well, this has been our most recent episode of WandaVision Review. Check us out every Friday. Get at us.
Peace.
You've been listening to Two Brothers at a Water Cooler with Mike and Tom, produced by Jamie Fernandez and Peter Bune. Rate and review this show on Apple Podcasts, and you might find your review in a future episode.